Hello, friends. Welcome back to the Note Coach podcast. I'm your host, Suzanne Culberg. This is episode 189, When You've Tried Everything and Nothing Works. And I'm welcoming back Jackie Lowater. Welcome back.
Thank you.
I'm actually going to handball it to you to start this off. When you've tried everything and nothing works, where do you start when you hear this with people?
So I work with women with depression, and commonly they have struggled for years and years and years on and off with depression, and they may be on medication or they may not be on medication. They may have tried various medications over the years and they just feel like nothing works. So they have this sense of sort of hopelessness and helplessness and the sense that something's wrong with them and it's their fault. So the first thing I want to say is it's not your fault, and there is nothing wrong with you in your head. Typically what it is biochemical imbalances in your body, and you're just missing ingredients in your body so that your messages can run properly and do what they need to do. And so often people feel like they've tried everything, but it's very much traditional methods where here's medication, there might be an offer of counseling. But typically I think of those things as more Band-Aids. Counseling is great because it gives you strategies to cope, but it's not fixing the way your body's producing your happy hormones and the things that make you sleep and feel better. And again, the medication, they've very much debunked that sort of myth of you need the tablet to give you more serotonin. And I think of it as a Band-Aid or as earmuffs. So if you're in a really noisy environment, you put the earmuffs on and it's like, oh, that's better. The noise is kind of faded away. And that's what the antidepressants are doing. The noise sort of fades and it feels a bit better. But if you don't go and address the noise and turn the volume down, when you take the earmuffs off, the noise is there and it's just as loud as before. And then you think, oh, that didn't work. But you haven't addressed the problem of the noise in the first place. And as I say, it just feeds into that sense of this doesn't work, nothing is working. And the next thing that I find is when women have tried sort of various supplements, that might be something that they've Googled or found on Facebook or their friend recommended. Often they might be doing a whole lot of the right things, but they haven't put them in the right order. You need to, it's like building a house. Again, I use that analogy. You've got to build the foundation and then you've got to do some of the bricks and then you put the windows in and the doors. And if you start trying to do it out of order, it's not going to work. So it's knowing the steps to take and taking them in the right order so that you're building this thing step by step so you land up with a house that you want at the end of it that's not going to fall over.
The other thing that comes to mind when you're talking about that, a different analogy, baking a cake. Like if you have all the correct ingredients, but you do it in the wrong order, so you put the flour in the pan in the oven, then you take it out and crack the egg, and then you soften the butter, like at the end, you're going to have a mismatch that's probably inedible, or at least you could choke it down, but, would not recommend.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Finding not only the correct ingredients. The other question I wanted to ask, when we do get advice from friends, well-meaning friends, Google searches, or, supplements that people say, try this and try that. What about the quality of the supplement itself, depending on, because a lot of times now people buy things online because you see, oh, here it's cheap. And, especially current times, trying to save is not, insignificant. But how do we know that the thing we've ordered is actually the thing we've ordered?
Such a good question. And it's probably something that drives practitioners a little bit nutty. And there's a couple of aspects to it. So the one is, a lot of people order in from overseas. And here in Australia, we have really, really good regulations that regulate how well products are working, but also that what's in the product is actually what they say. Whereas a lot of overseas products, they don't have that same regulation. So often you're not actually getting what you think you're getting. So that's the first step. And then the second thing too is, if you need magnesium, you're just going to go and buy magnesium. But there's actually many different forms of magnesium. And they all do slightly different things in the body and they're absorbed in different ways. So if you went out and had the misfortune of buying some magnesium oxide and you thought magnesium is going to help my mood, magnesium oxide is actually really badly absorbed in the body. it mostly trucks through to the bowel, and it acts a bit like a laxative. So it's going to give you a good poo, but it's not going to lift your mood. And also a lot of the supplements that you buy sort of in the shops and things, you might just not be getting enough. So it's looking at the quality of it. It's looking at whether it's the right form, and then knowing whether you're getting enough for you. And again, if that's the thing that you actually need. So yeah, there's a few sort of factors to look at with that, but absolutely, sometimes you can save money by spending a bit more and getting the right product. I remember once I had a client who, through COVID, was trying to save on her probiotics, so she got one off the shelf. And a few weeks later, she messaged me and she was like, "Oh, can I please come and get another one of yours? Because I thought I'd save money, but that's just not working."
Yeah. And I think that's something that, you know, we don't necessarily recognize as much because we don't see it. Like if you're taking a supplement, it's a pill or a powder, you know, they will look the same. Whereas say we were going out to eat and we were having like a fruit, vegetable, piece of meat, something where we could see the cut, be like, oh, we can notice the difference in quality in this, as opposed to something that, you know, looks the same but feels very differently or reacts very differently in the body.
Yep. And as I say, just knowing what you need, you might need that, but you might not, or you might need that in combination with other things. And again, you know, the sort of pity of that too is then people go, well, that didn't work.
Yes.
But it's not necessarily the right thing for you, or the right form, or a good quality.
And the other thing, I loved how you normalized, you know, there's nothing wrong with you. Like, you know, it's finding the right thing. What was I going to add to that? It was like the fact that you're still trying, the fact that you're still showing up for yourself, the fact that you're still searching for an answer really highlights and shows that you haven't given up. You're wanting this, you're hungry for this change. Because I think so many people feel so depleted and exhausted and frustrated and over it and like they've given up. But if you'd truly given up, you wouldn't be listening to podcasts like this, you know, working with people like Jackie and I, and actually taking these steps. The fact that you're still here shows that, you know, you are still in the game. You're not out yet.
Yep, absolutely, 100%. You know, just keep looking, keep searching, because the answers are there. There is a solution. And I think another thing I read somewhere once was, you know, we all have different genetic predispositions. So, you know, we can look at someone and go, but, you know, yeah, they don't eat these things, or they don't do that, and they don't have a problem. Well, yeah, but our bodies all work differently. And if I don't look after my body, I might not be predisposed to getting diabetes, but I might be predisposed to getting a heart condition, you know. So for other women, there's that predisposition when things are out of balance to become depressed rather than something else. So, you know, you can look at someone else and go, well, they're not, you know, they eat all the sugar and they don't have a problem. Yes, but someone else might get diabetes, or so it's knowing where your predispositions lie and knowing how to look after those. And I think people lose sight of that sometimes too.
Yeah. And the other thing that you spoke to, like getting to the root cause, sometimes when people have had success, as well-meaning as they are sharing, it's just kombucha. You just need to have kombucha twice a day, or it's just kimchi or whatever. They have had such success with that thing that you want to too, and then you do it exactly like they did it, and you have a very different result. And then like, oh, well, you didn't try hard enough, or you didn't want it enough. And it adds more evidence to the, well, I've tried everything and nothing works. But the underlying cause, condition, imbalance, whatever you want to call it, is different. We can't see these things on the surface like we can see other things. So, you know, if we're putting a different solution that's wasn't the inciting thing, we can have a different result.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. Sometimes people ask me, you know, but what if we do all the testing and there is no imbalance? And I'm like, I've yet to meet a woman who has no imbalances. You know, when all the signs and symptoms are there that something's out of whack, then something is out of whack. I've yet to meet someone where things aren't out of balance. And the other question I get asked sometimes is, well, would I need supplements to fix it, or can I do it with food? Typically, if the imbalance is significant enough to make you feel that bad, you're not going to get enough from food in the short term to correct it. Once you've corrected it, you may well be able to just maintain that with eating the right food. But typically, to start off with, you would need I say again, like the pool analogy, you know, if you're missing chlorine, you're not going to just wait and hope for it to fix itself. You've got to add some to balance things out.
I love that. It's kind of like make up the baseline, you know, correct the depletion, and then modify the diet going forward to maintain, as opposed to potentially being on the back foot trying to, you know, increase to a point where the balance is restored.
Yeah.
And the other thing I just wanted to add, so from a slightly different take on the work with people that I don't do nutrition or anything like Jackie does. So if someone comes to me and they're saying, I've tried everything and nothing's worked, first thing I will ask them is, are they seeing, have they had all their levels checked, bloods checked, you know, things looked at? And if that comes back and that is a yes, like, you know, the next stage, because sometimes, you know, our baselines are good, but we're still not quite getting the things done. Like that's when we lean more into mindset. I actually ask them, and this is a very resisted technique. So if you're listening to this and you're like, oh, it never happened, it's okay. I get them to pen to paper, write out all the things they've tried. Because sometimes we tell ourselves in our head, I've tried everything. I've tried hundreds of things. And then if you sit down pen to paper, you may have tried 10 things. So, you know, that propensity to exaggerate at times. Or you may have tried lots of things, but it's the same 2 and 3 things that you've tried dozens of times. It reminds me of that saying, you know, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. So it's kind of like looking at, okay, what can and sometimes it doesn't even need to be a whole new strategy. It's the tiniest tweak. Like you're almost there, but you just kind of, and then you think about it, they say that an airplane is off track 90% of the time, still ends up in its destination. But if you don't course correct, like the pilot and the co-pilot course correct, if you don't course correct that 1 degree at, you know, however many hours of flight time, you're in an entirely different country, potentially.
Yeah, 100%. And also you can't try what you don't know.
Yes.
So you don't always know that there might be this different solution.
So just noticing when our minds exaggerate, because I know I have that too. It's like, you know, especially things with my kids, we've done everything for them to be able to learn this. And it's like, well, have you done everything? Or have you done the 2 or 3 things that you know over and over again in hopes that it will just click?
Yeah. And giving things time too, you know.
Yes.
Sometimes people don't give it long enough. And it is frustrating when it takes time. You want this to work now, but, you know, when the problem's been there for a very long time, as I say, sometimes you get a magical turnaround, but sometimes it just takes a bit more plodding along and course correcting before you arrive at your destination.
Yeah. And I think holding the vision, holding the trust, the faith that it will correct is the thing that many of us, you know, we all are human. We doubt, we waver, we're unsure. But, you know, if we can go to a movie theater and dissuspend our belief for 2 hours, like you don't sit at the movies going, that's impossible, that'd never happen. You know, you suspend disbelief for that period of time to enjoy the movie. You can suspend the disbelief in yourself when the worry thoughts happen. That doesn't mean that you have to unpack and live there. It can be like, okay, that's okay, noted now, but we're going to go back to figuring this out.
Yep, absolutely.
I love this, Jackie. So let the listeners know what it is that you do and where they can find you.
So I am the founder of the Happy Healthy Mood Method, which is the program that I run for women with depression to help them overcome their depression and live the life that they want and deserve. And I have a free private Facebook community that you can join, and it's called the Happiness Hub for Women with Depression. I
love that. So yes, look Jackie up on Facebook, the Happiness Hub for Women with Depression. Was it, did I get that right? Yes. I was going to say, hang on. And join her group. Thank you so much for joining me, Jackie. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We'll catch you on the next one. Bye for now.